From Gujarat to Bhubaneswar, from Srinagar to the national capital. Those were the visuals of Tiranga Yatra that was taken out to honour the Indian Armed Forces after the success of Operation Sindur. Hello and welcome, I'm Samiksha Srivastava and this is Inside South Asia. Our top focus remains India-Pakistan tensions and the road ahead. The war is over, but certainly not tensions between the neighbours. Let's get started. The guns have fallen silent after 4 days of raging military conflict between India and Pakistan that threatened to spiral out of control. The ceasefire in place, though, is far from permanent or open to misuse by Pakistan. Pakistan remains on edge, with India putting in place strong warnings and conditions, setting a new normal in the relationship. Here's more.
Bruised and battered by Indian military forces, Pakistan was forced into crying peace. It had unleashed drone and missile fire after India's Operation Sindur ripped into terror camps on its soil and paid the price for it. Military hostilities have ceased, but India has tightened screws on Pakistan-backed terror to the hilt.
सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक और एयर स्ट्राइक के बाद अब ऑपरेशन सिंदूर आतंक के खिलाफ भारत की नीति है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने आतंक के खिलाफ लड़ाई में एक नई लकीर खींच दी है, एक नया पैमाना, न्यू नॉर्मल तय कर दिया है। पहला, भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ तो मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा। हम अपने तरीके से, अपनी शर्तों पर जवाब देकर रहेंगे। हर उस जगह जाकर कठोर कार्रवाई करेंगे जहां से आतंक की जड़ें निकलती हैं।
Prime Minister Modi spelled out a new blueprint and paradigm for all India's dealings with Pakistan to come. 1. India will not stand any nuclear blackmail and would give a strong reply. 2. India would not differentiate between terrorists and the government that supports them. 3. Talks with Pakistan would only be held on the issues of terror and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, nothing else. And 4. Terror and talks cannot go together. Terror and trade cannot go together, like the symbolism that blood and water cannot flow together in the Indus.
निश्चित तौर पर ये युग युद्ध का नहीं है, लेकिन ये युग आतंकवाद का भी नहीं है। टेररिज्म के खिलाफ जीरो टॉलरेंस, ये एक बेहतर दुनिया की गारंटी है। साथियों, पाकिस्तानी फौज, पाकिस्तान की सरकार जिस तरह आतंकवाद को खाद पानी दे रहे हैं, वो एक दिन पाकिस्तान को ही समाप्त कर देगा। पाकिस्तान को अगर बचना है तो उसे अपने टेरर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का सफाया करना ही होगा। इसके अलावा शांति का कोई रास्ता नहीं है।
India's Director General Military Operations and his counterparts in the Army, Navy and Air Force have given out minute details of Operation Sindur and the operations that followed. From elimination of over 100 terrorists in 9 terror hubs inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, to Indian action against 11 key Pakistani military sites and air bases in Islamabad, Karachi and Sialkot, all of them deep inside Pakistani territory.
Indian Navy remains deployed at sea in a credible deterrent posture to respond decisively to any inimical action by Pakistan or Pakistan-based terrorists.
There's proof of Indian forces destroying Chinese PL-15 missiles. Numerous Yihar drones of Turkish origin were shot down with evidence presented of their destruction. India's indigenously produced defense system Akash Tir made a huge mark. India's warning to Pakistan for the road ahead is loud and clear. It has boiled down in the end to what the Indian spirit has laid down as peace being dependent on a show of might.
आपको रामचरितमानस की एक कुछ पंक्ति याद दिलाऊंगा, आप समझ जाएंगे। तो याद कीजिए वो पंक्ति जो है, विनय न माने जलधि जड़, भय 3 दिन बीत, बोले राम सकोप तब, भय बिन होए न प्रीत। तो समझदार के लिए इशारा ही काफी।
But despite warnings, there is no end to Pakistan propping up terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, and deadly encounters with Indian security forces continue. On Thursday, Indian security forces neutralized 3 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama district. This one was the second major encounter in the Union territory within a span of just 48 hours. Earlier on Tuesday, 3 terrorists of Lashkar-e-Toiba were neutralized in a separate encounter that began in Kulgam and then shifted to the forests in Shopian. Pakistan's terror-rooted provocations in Kashmir and the blowback it faces globally is just one aspect of its multifaceted troubles. Big problems extend inwards to economic fragility, burning insurgencies and civil unrest, besides growing heat over rights violations. Take a look at this next report.
"12 Pak army soldiers out on an operation against insurgents in Balochistan's Kachi district, all killed when their vehicle was hit by an IED. The Balochistan Liberation Army claimed responsibility. This attack came days after Pakistan's security forces killed 10 terrorists in Balochistan in 2 separate incidents in Kech and Ziarat districts. Or this, vehicles set ablaze on the China-Pakistan economic corridor close to Balochistan's Afghan border. The clip shows Pakistani and Chinese vehicles targeted. 4 construction workers were abducted. The armed attackers left without being challenged. Pakistan's unending stream of insurgent attacks has turned into an avalanche. The Baloch Liberation Army or BLA claims 71 coordinated attacks at over 51 locations in Balochistan, attacking Pakistani military and intelligence sites. A stage has come where the Baloch Liberation Army has warned of a regional shift. It declares that a new order has become inevitable, saying it has a decisive say in the region's future. Sooner or later, we will destroy this terrorist state and liberate our motherland. However, the longer this process is delayed, the more bloodshed, terrorism and instability the world will have to endure. From the insurgency in Balochistan to a string of clashes between Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan militants and Pakistani security forces in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. On the 5th and 6th of this month, 8 TTP militants were killed in a series of encounters with security forces in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. A Pakistani soldier lost his life. Weapons, ammunition and explosives were recovered. Fighting intensified. Militant activity in the area with frequent casualties is routine. The violations extend further to hostility between provinces and between specific communities. Baloch communities in Balochistan province have carried on separatist movements for decades. Military crackdowns with allegations of disappearances and extrajudicial killings are common. Underdevelopment, exploitation of resources, and lack of representation have been at center stage. The Pashtuns of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and northern Balochistan have suffered due to Taliban presence, military operations, and drone strikes. Internal displacement and disruption of livelihoods are burning issues, as are intensive scrutiny and discrimination against the community. Multiple autonomy movements have erupted here too. The Sindhis native to Sindh province have raised concerns around erosion of their language and culture. Massive resentment persists over perceived exploitation of Sindh's natural resources by Punjab or the federal government. The Saraikis of southern Punjab and Mohajirs, who are descendants of migrants from India, have raised cries of economic neglect, poor representation, political suppression and discrimination based on their origin. At the center of frequent conflict is what is seen as disproportionate power reserved for Punjab in the military bureaucracy and political elite. Resentment from non-Punjab communities and smaller provinces fuels tensions, with ethnic activism often met with heavy-handed security responses. The state of affairs is reflected by the annual report for 2024 released by Pakistan's Human Rights Commission. According to the report, fatalities related to militant attack incidents in 2024 rose to more than 2,500, with Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan accounting for the majority of such attacks. At least 24 deaths were reported due to vigilante mobs, some of which were connected to allegations of blasphemy in Swat and Sargodha. It is in this atmosphere of internal mayhem and human rights abuses and exploitations that Pakistan sees anti-India terror as the way forward and takes peace in South Asia to the brink in the process.
Up next, let's take you to Nepal, where a unique ceremony was held as a tribute for a dying glacier. Yes, a so-called funeral of a vanishing glacier due to climate change. Take a look.
Buddhist monks performing a unique ritual, a ceremony that puts the spotlight on global glacial retreat. Glaciologists, local communities mourn loss of Nepal's Yala glacier, situated in the Langtang Valley of northern Nepal. According to the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, Yala Glacier has shrunk in area by 66% and retreated 784 meters since 1974. Scientists warn it may eventually disappear by the 2040s if the warming trend continues.
In 2011, we started glacier measurements and annual trainings on Yala Glacier. During those years, we saw the face of Yala Glacier changing because of the season, because of the weather, but mostly because of the changing climate. The warming temperatures made the glacier shorter and thinner. Every year we had to walk a few meters further to reach the glacier. Slopes became steeper or flatter, some glacier crevasses opened up, some closed.
Yala is one of 7 glaciers in the 3,500-kilometer-long arc of the Hindu Kush Himalayas to have been monitored annually for a decade or more. This tribute to Yala joins a growing number of symbolic glacier funerals held worldwide, following similar ceremonies for the OK Glacier in Iceland, 2019, the Ayoloko Glacier in Mexico, 2021, Switzerland's Pizzol Glacier, 2019, and Basodino Glacier, 2021, and the Clark Glacier in Oregon, 2020. And now Yala might be among the first in Nepal to join the growing numbers of glaciers declared dead worldwide.
This tribute was first in the Hindu Kush Himalayan region because lots of glaciers are melting and some glaciers are at the verge of diminishing. So they are in the critical danger to glacier lakes. glaciers, and Yala is one of that. And we have another glacier also called AX010 near this Khumbu regions, that is also getting very smaller and smaller. And we have such tiny glaciers are mostly disappearing very soon. And this is mainly due to the climate change, so we have to preserve, or how to say, we have to act strongly on different climate change policies so that we can preserve or we can make longer staying on our earth, those glaciers.
To address the issue of climate change, Nepal's flagship Global Climate Dialogue, Sagarmatha Sambad, this week is focusing on urgent climate challenges this year. The theme is climate change, mountains and the future of humanity.
Our inter-regional cooperation is good. Nepal is a peaceful state. We are a non-aligned nation and we believe in multilateralism. And all our neighbors have also been dealing with us in that perspective. So I think we have a good relation, and we also expect that the dialogue will be a successful one, and we'll be looking at all the issues that are affecting the region and how to deal with it jointly.
Himalayan glaciers providing critical water to nearly 2 billion people are melting faster than ever before due to climate change, exposing communities to unpredictable and costly disasters. Experts say that if the current melt rates continue, many glaciers worldwide will not survive the 21st century. Recently, the United Nations said that all 19 of the world's glacier regions experienced a net loss of mass in 2024 for the third consecutive year. Together, they lost 450 billion tons of mass. Climate change caused disappearance of Yala is yet another wake-up call.
Many experts have said that this glacier is likely to disappear by the year 2040. Since the monitoring of this Yala glacier has begun, this glacier has experienced significant losses in terms of area and volume. Through this tribute service that is being held at the Yala glacier, Nepal aims to highlight the urgent need for a better climate policies and also for actions to preserve the remaining glaciers in the country.
Our next story goes beyond South Asia, beyond Sri Lanka to Indonesia and Vietnam. Vesak marking the birth, enlightenment and passing away of Buddha on the same date in different years is Buddhism's biggest festival. The fervor runs through the week preceding and after this full moon night that India knows as Buddha Purnima. Take a look.
Ornamental lights and decorations in Buddhist temples across Sri Lanka, to thousands of flying lanterns released into the night sky at the world's largest Buddhist temple, Borobudur in Java, Indonesia. Or the ancient sacred relic of the Buddha himself, flown to Vietnam by a special Indian Air Force jet from Sarnath in India, where Sakyamuni delivered his first sermon after enlightenment. In all of these countries and for Buddhists worldwide, Vesak is more than a religious festival. It's a cultural event that brings communities together in acts of prayer, kindness, and reflection. In Sri Lanka, Buddhism is the predominant religion, practiced by about 70% of the population. The country has a deep-rooted Buddhist heritage that dates back over 2,300 years. It's an entire week of Vesak celebrations across the Emerald Isle.
The best message we can give to the world. This Vesak Day is to highlight the concept of compassion and work towards reconciliation with all other nations and religions of the world.
Here to see Vesak, and it's a lovely experience because we feel it's a feeling of being with everybody around who comes from all parts of the country, and here it's a smell, what you see, what you feel, it's a lot from your heart. So it's a lovely experience, and I think this Vesak person is something very unique to Sri Lanka.
Vesak this year carried an added layer of spiritual diplomacy. For the first time, India sent a sacred relic of Lord Buddha to Vietnam to be showcased during the United Nations Vesak celebrations in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. The relic, excavated from Andhra Pradesh and enshrined in Sarnath, was ceremoniously moved to New Delhi's National Museum before being flown to Vietnam.
A large number of Vietnamese do come here to various Buddhist sites in India, whether it is Sarnath or Bodh Gaya or Kushinagar or Vaishali or wherever. They travel a lot. This time when we are taking the relic to Vietnam, it's a very unique occasion because we have the United Nations Day of Vesak being celebrated in Ho Chi Minh City, where around 40,000 people from across the world, from 100 countries, will be converging.
The message of Vesak remains highly relevant in modern life, offering valuable lessons for personal growth, community harmony, and global peace. Ideas and ideals that today's world falls woefully short of, that it seeks perhaps above all else.
And finally, in what is truly a matter of pride and joy for all cinema-loving Indians, the 4K restored version of the 1970 Bengali film Satyajit Ray's Aranyar Din Ratri, directed by one of the greatest Indian filmmakers of all time, Satyajit Ray, will be showcased under the Cannes Classics section of the 78th edition of the Film Festival on 19th of May. The restored version will be presented by Oscar-winning filmmaker Wes Anderson, a longtime admirer of Ray's work. Take a look and I shall see you next week.